workshops. That our staple students to know and be a part of. I'm hearing a little bit of music in my ear. Okay, should I take them out? Start over. We're good? All right, we're good. Okay. So this is more of a, I don't know, formal introduction, if you would, to family engagement as a whole. The agenda for today is primarily going to be to go over some of our main overarching goals for the 25-26 school year, and there are different types of goals. We've got academic goals, some enrichment goals, and then family engagement goals as well. So that's what we're going to kind of cover today. There will be some time at the end for some Q&A. If there are some things that are unclear, or maybe you weren't able to attend the orientation presentation back at the end of August, this is a good time to ask. That primarily covered school policies, procedures, things that may be just unique to our school. So if you didn't make it to that, or you have some questions that you'd like answered pertaining to specifically those types of things, I'd be happy to answer those, kind of engage in that right at the end. So for this, it's more focused on our school academic goals for this school year. We're also going to go over our parent-teacher or parent-school contacts. Our goal is to collect feedback on that. That is the thing that you guys have been getting page by page on Parent Square. That's new this year. Parent Square is new this year. And sending it that way is new this year. So I'd love your feedback on that in general. It used to be, we went from paper packets with the compact to it being digital, but at one time, and then now to each page. And so I guess the goal for that would be for you to understand each part of that as you're going through the compact. So we'd love your feedback on that. We're going to talk a little bit about Parent Square and then open it up for Q&A. And talk about parent-teacher committee. So that's a big deal. I see many members of our parent-teacher committee here in this room, and we're hoping to add more to that this year. So to kick us off, let's start with our goals for the 25-26 school year. Like I said, we're going to kind of do this in different categories. We're going to start with our academic goals. We do have academic goals that are sort of ongoing in each core subject area: math, ELA, science, social studies, and kind of measure our marks each year. But in addition to that, we wanted to take our data and look at how we could close gaps within each of those subject areas. One of our main focuses for this year, based on our trends, is an increase in literacy intervention. We're trying to close gaps before grade 3 to ensure that our students are prepared for what's coming 4th, 5th in the middle school, and eventually up to high school and beyond. So some of the things we've added this year are reading and ESL interventionists. There has been an increase in our ESL population that could benefit from this type of intervention. So that is something that we've added as a push-in and pull-out service, depending on the need of the student. We just got done completing our screeners. For those who qualify for this, you'll receive a letter explaining what the service entails and what your child may be a part of. Class level reading initiatives as well. This is very precise or targeted type of intervention in the classrooms administered by the teacher or the paraprofessional. There's a paraprofessional assigned to either every classroom or every grade level. So kindergarten and 1st grade, there is somebody in there full-time kind of addressing the differentiated needs of students. And then 2nd and up, there's someone assigned to the grade level, so she's back and forth, or he is back and forth between both classes. So the increase in that department is to ensure that every grade level is covered. When you get up to the middle school, we're talking subject specific, so someone specifically for math, someone specifically for literacy. And the goal there is to, again, close the achievement gap between students and ensure that students performing above grade level has the attention that they need to be pushed beyond that, and students who need reflection on fundamental skills also have the opportunity for that with more than one staff member in the classroom. So those are either increases or new additions this year. Family engagement, literacy-based workshops. This is something also, because it is a partnership, that if we're doing something here that is, an initiative that we find success in, or that we believe to be successful, this is something that you should also be aware of. So as you're helping your student, you know, with their literacy, with their math, with their work, that we're kind of on the same page, aligned with our strategies, and kind of some of the resources we're using. You should be familiar with those things. So there will be periodic workshops that are very targeted based on what's going on in the year. So there will be one specifically on literacy, what resources we use at each grade level, how you can access them, and kind of like become familiar with them and how to use those tools at home, because a lot of them students do have access to from home. Parents just don't know how to use them, right? And that's fair, right? We want to make sure that you have the opportunity to learn the basics of each of them and what they're actually doing in the classroom. So that's that with regard to sort of family engagement workshops. Sometimes our workshops are going to be based on how to read, you know, your child's NWEA scores. What does that mean? How to, you know, if we're entering test taking, your test, you know, the season of testing in the spring, what does that entail? How can I prepare my child? Sometimes it's more social, emotional. So whatever's going on throughout the school year is what we tend to focus our sessions on, so that we're kind of moving about in a steady manner. Advanced learning options is another goal of ours this year. This is a new addition. 3rd through 5th grade students that are advanced have the opportunity to receive advanced support. And the 6th through 8th grade math and ELA have the opportunity to engage in honors courses, part of our ALP program. So a student who is in, let's say, 6th grade, during math or ELA, if they qualify based on a set of criteria, which includes standardized testing, teacher recommendation, and so on, they have the opportunity to go to the next level class. So if they're 6th grade, they're taking 7th grade. If they're 7th, they're taking 8th. 8th graders have the opportunity to take the 9th grade ELA in math class, which will count towards credit in their high school, so long as that high school recognizes that, which most do. So they're essentially taking Algebra 1 instead of 8th grade math, and they're taking ELA 9 instead of 8th grade ELA. So those are additions this year. We've been working towards that for a couple of years, and have now been able to do that, and with enough kids qualifying for, have been able to run that this year. So we're very excited about that. I think that's a wonderful way to push and propel students forward. In addition to that, academic enrichment, we've got our ASSP, the After School Support Program, starting October 13th. That is sort of a remediation. So students who might need some extra help, mastering sort of the daily objectives from specifically math and reading, that is programmed to support with that. And there's also time set aside for homework help. And we find this to be sometimes an area of struggle for, you know, families, is helping kids with homework, or, you know, even understanding sometimes, you know, the methods or how to complete the homework. So that's something that the teachers or people who are in there throughout the day are there to help them complete that. So they're coming home and that is completed, within a special focus on, you know, math and the literacy that they're doing throughout the day anyway. So that is, if a student qualifies for that and needs that support, that starts in a couple weeks. Letters are going home as we speak, actually. Some got it this week, and some will get it next week, depending on at-risk levels. The other thing is math interventionist. That is an addition this year as well. We have a math interventionist for the middle school grade levels, works directly with the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classes. So students who need that level of intervention are receiving that. And then our MTSS process, for those who may not be familiar with this, it's a state recognized framework for tiering students based on need, and, you know, implementing very targeted measures of support depending on where they're at, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So this is a whole system. I'm not going to go through the whole system. You can look it up if you would like. It's called the multi-tier system of support. So we follow that at our school. It's a very systematic way to ensure progress monitoring for all students. So every student falls into one of these tiers, and we're always measuring their data every month in conjunction with their teachers and any support staff that work with them, so the whole team. But for 2 and 3, the students in tier 2 or 3, we just need kind of the extra help. It's not a special program. It's an embedded intervention in the classroom, often through the help of the paraprofessional. Sometimes it's an interventionist, and sometimes it's our after-school program, but that's often the parapro in the classroom offering that support. But again, sometimes the parent thinks that this is kind of special, some kind of a special program or special education, and kind of misconstrue the two, but it's not. It's a class level intervention, kind of to level the playing field and provide equity to students. So it's an added measure of support. These are some of our academic goals that we've very intentionally added to our program or enhanced in our program this year. So at the end of the year last year, kind of reflected on our data, reflected on our system, and added these few things that we're hoping continue to support students in closing achievement gaps and pushes them to their potential. So we're very excited about some of these things. These are our academic goals, some of our enrichment opportunities, because school is not just books, right? It's not just our core subject areas. There's extracurricular that are definitely supporting a well-rounded student, and these are extremely essential for the student as a whole. Some of the things we do each year is start our clubs, which are scheduled to start mid to end of October. These are run by teachers, so it's their volunteer work after school, and it's based on their talents and their expertise, maybe their hobbies, and they're able to bring these extra supports or these extra experiences to our students. This year, we've been able to plan these so far. We've got a band club. This is sort of the inception process of official band, hopefully for next year as a class. For this year, it's a club. It's going to be a huge commitment. So for middle school students who are interested in joining band, that'll run this year. Academic games is something run by one of our math teachers, Mrs. Shamalia. Academic games is essentially a league who's competing academically through games. So math and social studies, primarily math, and they're going to other schools, and they're games that they're actually, racing or based on math. And last year we took second place at the finals at our super tournament. We're very excited about that. And so we're looking to start that again this year and hopefully take first this year. But that is a club that's not very common, but extremely beneficial to our students. Our club, typing club, safety patrol is offered to 8th grade. We have a cooking club. This is our second year doing cooking club, which was a huge hit last year. Chess club and life skills, and that's a new addition, but kind of go through different types of life skills, knitting, art, just various life skills, survival skills, that sort of thing. So these change from year to year, but depending on the staff who's running them and what their backgrounds are, but they're extra experiences for students to engage in at different grade levels. And then in addition to that, student organization, our student government, the application is due October 1st. We've already kind of gone around and presented this to students. The opportunity to be part of the legislative and executive branches at school. National Junior Honor Society and National Elementary Honor Society open to essentially 3rd through 8th grade. Those applications are due on the 17th. And of course, our athletics. For this year, we're offering fall girls basketball, boys soccer currently, happening now. And then winter, it'll be girls volleyball, boys basketball, and girls in the spring. This is for middle school students. And lots of parents ask about elementary. A lot of times, elementary typically will participate in parks and recreation, so your local cities, leagues. And then when they get to middle school, this is more of a competitive sport. So when they get to 6th grade, they have the opportunity to try out for one of these sports. Those are sort of enrichment goals. Of course, we are always open to feedback. We had a parent run our coding club last year. So it was one of his dads, and he did a fantastic job throughout the whole year building little cars and programming them to math and racing them and things like that. So it was really cool. There's about 15 to 20 students in that club throughout the year. It was a coding/robotics club. We had a parent coach our boys soccer. We had a mom. She's here actually. Where are you, Stephanie? Where is Stephanie? I'm gonna call her out. Thought I saw her walking in there. There she is. That was our volleyball coach. So parents are more than welcome to participate in these, to lead some of these, to be a part of, whether it's athletics or, a club or, whatever your background is that you can bring. We are a team. We all come from different backgrounds. We come with different experiences, different talents, different areas of expertise. And, if I bring what I know well and you bring what you know well, imagine the exposure our students have to very valuable tools and skills that they can carry on. And that's really what it comes down to, is that teamwork and creating a wholesome experience for our students. But each member, whether it is a teacher, a parapro, a principal, a parent, whatever it is, it's an adult who has this background and the drive to provide these experiences, and it doesn't matter who it is. Let's work together on bringing those things to our kids. So I just wanted to put that out there. Family and community engagement goals, that's why you're here. Our PTC is sort of the heart and soul of this family engagement movement. They are a team of, I would say, 10 to 15 individuals who really rocked it last year, but they're very much involved in the day-to-day. You know, they know what our systems and procedures are. They give us feedback. We work together on creating, you know, events, activities, initiatives, things that our families as a whole, the community as a whole can engage in that keep us all on the same page and informed. You know, because there's things that we can reflect on with your feedback, and there's things that, you know, we can inform you about that are part of our school and district. That, you know, knowledge is power, right? And this interaction is key, ongoing. And the PTC does a great job of being very involved and then relaying that to families as well. They're kind of the parent voice. But that is a commitment of a monthly meeting. There are officers that are elected, you know, to lead sort of the cabinet of that. And they actively volunteer. How many PTC members do we have in here? I think there's a few of you. Yeah, look, there's a bunch. Oh, there's a bunch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of you that are in here. Again, they led our, you know, Teacher Appreciation Week. They're here on March Reading Month throughout the whole month. They're here for assemblies, fundraisers. You know, they go out into the community and, you know, advocate for kids and plan things and do kind of the legwork of a lot of the things that we put on here. So if you think that this is something that you would like to be a part of, there is a link at the end. Actually, it's coming out on Parent Square at 9 o'clock. It's scheduled to be posted 9 or 9:30. So if you're interested in that, please sign up in the interest form and we'll contact you. All right. Parent compact, I'm going to switch gears. One of the things that we really wanted to focus on this year is review of the parent compact, because some parents sometimes are confused by some of the verbiage in there, and I wanted to make sure that you have the opportunity to provide your feedback should you wish to do so. I know that you've been receiving it kind of page by page. So hopefully you've had some time to read through it as you went through. I'm definitely not going to go through page by page here, but I did want to highlight a few that we tend to have some misconceptions or misunderstandings. So to avoid the back and forth, I'd like to just go through some of these. And then there is a link, again, going out on Parent Square, along with a copy of the compact at 9 a.m. So you'll be able to kind of put your feedback there. And we can look at reflecting on some of those things. So let's see. Some of these forms are pretty self-explanatory. Have I received it? You know, you're getting it on Parent Square. So I'm not going to go through some of these. And some of them are pertinent to just high school, so I'm going to skip through those as well. This one, possession of electronic devices. And again, we kind of went through these rules and procedures in our orientation, but this is pertaining to our cell phone policy. As you know, it's completely banned at our school, and it's had a tremendous positive impact on not just the environment, but on students themselves, on their focus, on their engagement. So this is something I do not want to do away with, but I would love your feedback. That's what this is. So if you had a chance to read through it, if you have not, please read through it at your own time and give that feedback on our cell phone policy if you have any. That's for high school. Okay, authorization for release of videos and pictures. This is a big one. So sometimes parents check no here and fine. However, what this does mean is that your child can or cannot appear in school, publications or school materials, such as the yearbook, such as, a class post about something, or, awards assembly or things like that. So it is a school, it's a school form, right? So if you say no to that, we just have to exclude the child from those photos. And I wanted to make clear what that means. Sometimes they'll say, no, I checked that by accident, or no, I do want them in the yearbook, I do want them in this, but I just don't want them in there. And it's kind of like an all or nothing, right? You're either approving them to be in pictures or not. So parents, when you're selecting this answer, please make sure that you're thinking about that. There's been many times where I've called a parent myself and said, this means that they can't be in the yearbook. No, please change it. They've come in and changed it. I just want to make that one very clear. We do take a lot of pictures. We do a lot of that kind of stuff. So I kind of need to know those that are not allowed to be there. The other one is FERPA. So this one tends to be a tricky one for parents as well. The top one where it says I do not want any FERPA, disclosure and whatnot, that is to potential, like to a directory, things like that. If you're not comfortable with that, you can check that you do not want them in that. But below that, it's I do not give HES or I give HES to use my child's first name photo, blah, blah, blah. We don't use them together, photos and names, but this is more like school-related activities. So there's a lot of times that people will check no on the first one and then yes on the second one, or I give permission on the second one because they do want their children to participate in, different publications that are coming directly from the school. It's not being necessarily shared anywhere else or anything like that. It's something that it's school-related activities that we're using that for. That's the big one. That's one that our office usually has to follow up with the parents to make sure that that's what they meant to put. So please be careful as you're filling that out. If you already did it, which I know many of you probably already did, and you feel like you misunderstood something, you can go back to the office and update that. Student lockers, these you can read through. This is basically just understanding the rules of having or, being issued a locker, a library book, those kinds of things, and a Chromebook, and what the responsibilities for students are for those. Another big one is the internet. As you know, we are in the age of the digital age, the digital era, and a lot of our core and supplemental resources have an online component. So our teachers do integrate a lot of that into centers, into homework, things like that. And so it's important that there is that permission to use the internet at school. I do understand some of the concerns with, having sort of internet access, open internet access. We do have controls on everything, and they are regulated by the schools. So Chromebooks are controlled by the schools or by our district, and they are used very intently for that purpose at home. At school. So I wanted to clarify that and make sure you knew that the whole purpose of giving or assigning Chromebooks to students is to ensure that they have access to those things while they are at school. So please make sure that you check that with access if you want them to participate in that. There's an anti-bullying pledge. And again, some of these are very self-explanatory that we haven't had any issues with, so I'm going to kind of skip through those because I'm sure you read it. Allergy management, this is a big one for new families. It's a procedure that you should be aware of if your child does have an allergy. We need to be notified as soon as possible, and it's not just hey, I just want to let you know my child's allergic to seafood. It's there's a form, there's things you have to obtain from the doctor, and the nurse has a procedure she has to follow to ensure lunch staff, support staff, and teachers are all on the same page. So please, if you do have that, if you do have a child with an allergy, that you read through this one very carefully. This is part of the allergy. All right, student activities and transportation. This is so that your child can go on field trips, participate in, riding the bus, or going on not just field trips, but like the sports events, things like that, where the bus is used. So please read through that and sign that. Library circulation, we talked about a little bit with regard to checking out materials and responsibilities that come along with that. All right. There is a volunteer chaperone agreement as well. You guys do go through the background check, which most parents have done, and that is good for the whole year. So if you know that you're going to be volunteering, whether here in the lunchroom for lunchtime or in your child's classroom or even a field trip, that is something that you'll want to, complete, do the background check, and then you're good for the whole year. All right. And that's pretty much it with regard to that last one about student drivers, which thankfully we don't have in 8th grade. That's the parent compact. Like I said, I created a survey that should be posted here in 5 minutes. If you could take a moment when you can to provide some feedback on that. If you don't have feedback, if you'll still complete it, if you don't have feedback, that would be greatly appreciated. This is one way to collect feedback from a lot of our families at one time and really reflect on it contact you for clarification if we need it, but it helps us evaluate this process. So it's not the same every year. We're always looking to evaluate and to reflect on and improve different areas, as times change and as, families grow. So if you'll take a moment and do that, I know that we're always trying to nail down what's the best time to get parents in. This is a wonderful turnout, but it's not ideal for everyone. Some people start work at 8 a.m., can never make it to these. We've tried making it later in the day. It serves some and not others. So this way, everyone has access to the materials, has access to providing their feedback, and has that opportunity. Any questions about the parent compact in general? Anyone have any questions on there? No? Okay. I'm going to go back to. All right. All right. Parent Square. Actually, let me pull this up instead. All right. Parent Square. Has anyone not gone on Parent Square yet? It is a new platform. It's new for everyone. There are a lot of very functional features that are an enhancement from using ClassDojo or some of the other platforms that we've used in the past. So I am excited about it, but it is new. So I can imagine the questions. I think we have at this point gotten everybody connected. The nice thing about it is that it syncs with our school information system, PowerSchool. So there's almost constant communication with regard to your child's attendance, things like that. What you have the option to do if you're not yet connected is, or not yet connected, but if you are connected and have an update or something to, you're changing demographic information, a phone number, an email, there's actually a way to make that request right through there, and it'll automatically sync with our school information system. So I want to put that out there because some people have asked about that. So, okay. I think it's called like a change of request or something like that. You're able to make that request right through Parent Square. We get a notification, we make the request in PowerSchool, and then it syncs. So the idea is to have all parents, moms and dads, connected, receiving the same live notification right away. If you have any problems with this at all, please see the main office. We are going to be hosting sort of a clinic, right? If you need help with it or not understanding it, you'll be able to come in and do that. So far, I don't see a great need. It seems like most people are connected, but if we do see that there is one, we'll definitely do that. All right. All right. All right. This is our administrative team, and I did show this in the orientation. But if you would like to take it, it looks like the links are in blue, but it's got the email and title of our administrative team. So depending on who you need to contact or what your question may be, this is you could always, of course, call the main office and ask, but this is sort of those that are responsible for all the major departments in our school. So I wanted you to have that as well. Of course, calling our main office is always a safe bet as well. Oh, sorry. Did you get that? You can go ahead. You got it? Yeah. All right. All right. Are there any questions? I do want to open it up like a Q&A. It doesn't have to be related to this per se. Like I said, I didn't go through our school policies and procedures because we've already sort of covered all of those things with regard to specifically for our school, like what we've decided on cell phones or arrival dismissal or, those kinds of things we've covered. I put it in the newsletter, but if there's something that you have a question about or some feedback about, I'd love to hear it. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the main lunch is always there. The second option could change depending on availability, and I think it says that on there. The main lunch is what will kind of guaranteed to be there, and then the second option is something we generally have on standby always, but that could change. The second option could change. Okay, I mean, I'll definitely, I'll check in with the food service. There's always an alternative lunch to the main one. You want to plan accordingly. I know, I get it. I totally understand. And if you want, the food service manager is here, so right after this, I can, you can discuss that with her as well. Yes. Mhm. Yes. The menu? Yes. A different option. Yeah. So like I said, the main option is what would be kind of available to the child. And then as these second choices run out, that's what's available as far as the second choice. Because they're second choices. They're not a state, they're not at the main, thing that was planned for. That should not be the case, no. But again, I could check in with her to make sure that that's not the case. But that's how we can run the program, is that the main, whatever's on the menu is there for all lunches, for all students. And the additional options can vary. Sometimes you have 2 or 3 different things to choose from as a second option. So if you have a picky eater, I would say look at the main dish or the main entree for the main lunch. And some parents will pack just in case for that specific day. If you have somebody with special dietary needs or picky with what they're eating, things like that. They have 30 minutes. We get to the line usually within like 10 minutes. They usually have 15 to 20 minutes. And by the end of it, they're usually trying to run around. So they're usually done well before. Kindergartners we bring in before anybody else even. So they have time to get through the line because they tend to be the slowest. But everybody else seems to get through very quickly. And they have time where they're just like hanging out and talking, which is fine. But it's typically not the case. The first week, I could probably agree with that because they're getting used to it, but it's running pretty smoothly. They get at least 15 minutes, I would say, at least. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
I want to talk about the class, like the typing club. I saw it's only until fifth grade.
The which one?
The typing club.
Yeah.
I thought maybe I would say about my daughter, like she's still not that good at typing, so I would feel like if you want to extend it to more grades, like even sixth or seventh grade.
So if you'll notice on that one, there are actually so we're trying to offer something to each grade, and middle school has a lot of, where'd it go? There's a lot offered to middle school, and the people who run this are usually staff within those grade levels. So that particular teacher is a fourth grade teacher. She's running that club, and to make it very wide makes instructing students like a first grader and a seventh grader in the same group very difficult. So we try to narrow them so that you can target the skills you're targeting to specifically that age level. But for 6th through 8th, there's a lot of other options that actually I would say they have the most. So it really depends on the staff and what they're able to offer.
My daughter still very much like I wish that was an option for seventh grade, which she's
Yeah.
Like it's more comfortable with writing.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
Homework, everybody's asking about homework. A lot of the students have a lot of homework, like 2A, or 4A. Both of them are complaining about a lot of, I'm with them, I'll stay with them. It's not like, they're playing around.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one, a lot of parents are complaining about the amount of homework. Who decides?
So we have a district policy, assessment policy, and included in that is our homework. And we typically will have a math and an ELA each night, and then some days there's a science or social studies, depending on if that's the unit that they're on. But the rule of thumb is it should take 10 minutes per grade level. So a second grader should take 20 to 30 minutes to do their homework. And it's usually just a one-sided math, one ELA, and they might have reading to do in the evening or something like that. Right.
With fourth grade, they're getting 2 now, they're getting probably 2 or 3 ELA. So So it's taking probably 3 to 4 hours a night for.
So if it's taking that long, I would talk to your child's teacher because it should be something they're able to do independently once they get home. So if they're struggling with it, that's a different matter. But the length or the amount of homework is that's our assessment policy. Huh?
They're not,
Yeah.
you know, like I can't even imagine. It's some other people are struggling. These
Yeah.
are honor students and they're struggling with their homework. And we're just leaving this to them. So it's not like they're playing.
Yeah, I would definitely check in with the teacher on the length because that is our assessment policy. So if it's more than that, you know, that's a conversation we can have, but it should not take them that long.
That's what you were wondering,
Yeah, it should not. Yeah. All right. So this, like I said, was is an intro to the year. Is an opportunity to meet one another, enjoy some good food, and just go over sort of what our overarching goals for the school year, and basically explain how accessible we can be to one another. The workshops moving forward or the sessions moving forward will focus on very specific objectives. So you'll see that in the title, and we hope to see you guys there. I hope that this is the beginning of a wonderful partnership. The survey using this link, if you don't mind, if you can pull out your phone, this is a very quick, like 1 to 2 minute survey, just about this session in particular, overall, just the session in particular overall. What comes out on Parent Square specifically about the parent compact. So if you'll take a moment and do that since you attended, for those that are online and did have a chance to watch, we also do that online. It'll be posted in the chat. But what's coming out on Parent Square is for parent compact. So if you have some feedback on that, please complete that. Otherwise, have a fantastic weekend. We do have our outdoor movie night. This is our first ever one. I will get to you 1 second. I'm sorry. This is our first outdoor movie night. We're hoping there's no rain and we have a fantastic time. So if you have not, heard of that or weren't planning, please come. We'd love to have you there. So have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Thank you.
HES Academies have been serving the Detroit metro area for over 23 years, promoting academic excellence, leadership, and cultural diversity, ranking as some of the top schools in the state of Michigan. Our pre-K through 12th grade students enjoy tuition-free, state-accredited education by STEM certified and highly qualified staff with no geographical restrictions, and with advanced placement, college dual enrollment, scholarship, and Arabic language programs. Noor International Academy in Sterling Heights at NIA-PSA.org, Star International Academy in Dearborn Heights and in Canton at StarPSA.org, Universal Academy in Detroit at UniversalPSA.org, and Universal Learning Academy in Westland at ULAPSA.org. Join HES Academies today and enjoy a free Chromebook for every enrolled student.